You walk through life thinking words are harmless. You think silence is weakness and honesty means telling everything. But the truth is, your life is shaped less by what you do and more by what you reveal. The fastest way to lose power is not through failure, it's through disclosure. Most people don't lose because they are incapable. They lose because they talk too much too soon to the wrong people with the wrong expectations. If you understand this, you immediately move into a different psychological class of human being because restraint is not fear. Restraint is intelligence. There are things that feel natural to share, things that feel relieving to say out loud, things that make you feel lighter for a moment. But that momentary relief often costs you years of leverage, respect, safety, and control. Not everyone who listens to you is on your side. Not everyone who nods understands you. And not everyone who comforts you wants you to rise. The world doesn't reward openness. It rewards discretion. The first thing you should never tell anyone, your next move. The moment you announce what you're about to do, you invite interference. You invite opinions you didn't ask for. You invite doubt into something that was still fragile. Goals are like embryos. They need darkness, warmth, and protection. The moment you expose them too early, they are attacked, sometimes unintentionally. Someone questions it, someone laughs, someone plants fear, someone competes, someone copies, and suddenly what was once clear becomes heavy. There is also a psychological trap here. When you tell people your plans, your brain receives premature validation. You feel accomplished before you've done the work. Motivation drops, urgency fades, discipline weakens. Silence, on the other hand, creates pressure. Pressure creates focus. Focus creates results. Powerful people move quietly, not because they are secretive, but because they understand timing. Let the result introduce itself. The second thing, you should never tell anyone your weaknesses when they have not earned your trust. There's a difference between vulnerability and exposure. Vulnerability is selective, exposure is careless. When you hand someone your insecurities too easily, you're not being brave, you're being unprotected. Today they may listen with empathy. Tomorrow they may use that same information to judge you, manipulate you, or place you in a box you can never escape. People don't always weaponize your weakness immediately. Sometimes they store it, sometimes they wait, sometimes they smile while filing it away. And when power shifts, when conflict arises, what you once shared in trust becomes leverage against you. This is why emotional intelligence isn't about expressing everything. It's about knowing who gets access to which layer of you. Your strength is public, your weakness is private, and only a very small circle ever gets a key. The third thing, you should never tell anyone how much money you make, have, or plan to have. Money changes the way people see you, even the ones who love you. Some will envy you, some will resent you, some will expect from you, some will feel smaller around you, and some will quietly hope you fail just to restore balance in their own self-image. Once people know your financial position, they subconsciously adjust their behavior. Respect becomes conditional. Generosity becomes expected. Boundaries are tested, requests increase, guilt is applied, and suddenly you're no longer a person, you're a resource. True wealth is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't justify itself. It doesn't explain itself. It protects itself. When you speak too openly about money, you don't gain admiration. You lose neutrality, and neutrality is power. The fourth thing, you should never tell anyone your deepest fears. Fear is intimate information. Fear reveals where you can be controlled. When someone knows what scares you, abandonment, failure, rejection, loss, they know exactly where to apply pressure. Not everyone will exploit this consciously. Some will do it instinctively. They'll pull away if you fear abandonment. They'll threaten distance if you fear loneliness. They'll question your worth if you fear inadequacy. Fear shared with the wrong person doesn't disappear, it multiplies. Instead of feeling supported, you become dependent. Instead of feeling strong, you feel exposed. The right people help you outgrow fear. The wrong people keep you inside it. Until you are certain which one you're dealing with, your fears remain yours alone. The fifth thing you should never tell anyone: everything about your personal relationships. The moment you narrate your relationship to outsiders, you lose control of its perception. People don't hear your story objectively. They hear it through their own wounds, biases, and unresolved emotions. Someone who is unhappy will project negativity. Someone who failed in love will predict failure for you. Someone who envies your connection will subtly poison it. Once opinions enter your relationship, clarity exits. You begin to see your partner through borrowed eyes. You start doubting moments that were once natural. You magnify flaws that were once manageable. And slowly, intimacy erodes, not because of what happened between you two, but because of what was said outside. Strong relationships are protected, not publicized. Problems are handled internally or with professional guidance, not with people who gossip under the disguise of concern. Love needs privacy to survive. Now understand this clearly. Silence is not dishonesty. Silence is self-respect. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Not everyone has the emotional maturity to hold your truth without damaging it. You are not obligated to explain your life, your pace, your choices, or your healing to anyone. The most dangerous people are not enemies. They are the ones who listen too closely without revealing themselves. The ones who ask too many questions. The ones who appear supportive but benefit from your confusion. Your life becomes lighter when you stop oversharing and start observing, when you replace explanation with action, when you let people guess instead of clarifying, when you allow mystery to protect you. Because the more people know about you, the more they can influence you, and the less they know, the freer you become. Power is quiet, growth is private, strength is selective, and the moment you learn to guard your words, you stop leaking your energy and start directing it. And there's another layer people rarely talk about: the illusion that being understood is necessary for survival. It isn't. Most people don't actually want to understand you. They want to categorize you. Once they categorize you, they behave toward you based on that label, not your reality. Oversharing gives them the material to do exactly that. Silence keeps you fluid, unpredictable, free to evolve without permission. You must understand that information is currency. Every detail you give away has value. In the wrong hands, it depreciates you. In the right hands, it still costs something. This is why wise people speak slowly, reveal little, and listen a lot. They don't rush to correct misunderstandings. They don't panic when they're misjudged. Because clarity doesn't come from explanation, it comes from consistency over time. Many people talk because they are anxious. Silence makes them uncomfortable. Silence forces them to sit with uncertainty, and uncertainty feels like loss of control. So they fill the space. They justify, they defend, they narrate. But every time you explain yourself unnecessarily, you lower your psychological position. You subconsciously signal that you need approval. And the world responds harshly to that signal. Notice how the most respected people rarely explain themselves. They don't post their struggles in real time. They don't broadcast their pain while it's bleeding. They disappear, fix things, and return changed. That gap between disappearance and return is where transformation happens, and transformation needs privacy. Another dangerous thing about telling people too much is that it freezes you in an old version of yourself. Once you tell people who you are, they expect you to stay that way. If you change, they resist it. If you grow, they feel threatened. If you evolve, they accuse you of being fake. Silence gives you room to reinvent without having to argue with the past. People often confuse loyalty with access. Just because someone has been around you for a long time does not mean they deserve unlimited information. Longevity does not equal emotional safety. Some people grow with you, others grow comfortable with the version of you they benefited from. Discernment is knowing the difference. There is also a deep power in letting people underestimate you. When you reveal less, people project their own limits onto you. They assume you're incapable of more, and that assumption gives you space to move without resistance. Overestimation invites sabotage. Underestimation invites freedom. Pay attention to how people react when you share good news versus bad news. Who celebrates quietly? Who questions immediately? Who makes it about themselves? Who subtly shifts the topic? These reactions tell you more than words ever will. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Another reason silence protects you is because emotions distort memory. When you share something during a moment of pain, anger, or confusion, that version of your story becomes permanent in someone else's mind, even after you've healed. They continue to see you as broken, lost, or unstable long after you've moved on. Silence allows you to process privately and present yourself once you are grounded again. There's also dignity in not needing witnesses to your suffering. Strength isn't pretending pain doesn't exist. Strength is choosing where it is seen. Not all battles need an audience. Not all tears need validation. Some healing happens faster when it's quiet. People who overshare often believe they are building connection, but real connection isn't built on constant disclosure. It's built on mutual respect, boundaries, and emotional regulation. When someone earns your trust over time, disclosure feels safe, not urgent. If it feels urgent, it's usually anxiety, not intimacy. The world is not gentle with people who expose themselves too easily. It calls them dramatic, unstable, weak, even when they are sincere. Meanwhile, the same world romanticizes those who remain composed, private, and controlled. Not because they lack emotion, but because they master it. You don't need to announce when you're struggling. You don't need to explain why you pulled back. You don't need to justify your silence. You are allowed to retreat, reflect, recalibrate, and return without giving a report. And the moment you stop narrating your life, something shifts. You start hearing more, seeing patterns, reading between lines. You realize who only listens to respond and who listens to understand. You begin to notice who asks questions out of care and who asks out of curiosity or control. Silence sharpens perception. Words dull it. When you speak less, your words carry weight. When you explain less, your presence speaks louder. When you reveal less, people pay more attention because mystery commands focus in a world addicted to noise. There is also a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you don't owe anyone access to your internal world. When you stop feeling responsible for managing other people's curiosity, you reclaim mental space. You stop rehearsing explanations. You stop editing your truth to make it digestible. And in that mental stillness, clarity begins to form. People often say, but if I don't explain myself, they'll misunderstand me. Let them. Misunderstanding is not a threat to someone who knows who they are. The need to be constantly understood is often rooted in self-doubt. When your self-concept is solid, other people's interpretations lose their power over you. Silence also reveals character. When you stop feeding people information, you see who loses interest, who only bonded with you through drama, who only stayed when you were emotionally available on demand, and who respects your boundaries without questioning them. This filtration process is uncomfortable, but necessary. Another thing most people don't realize is that the more you talk about your pain, the more you relive it. Words solidify emotion. Repetition deepens grooves in the mind. Sometimes healing requires fewer words, not more. Movement, structure, distance, time. Silence is not suppression, it's containment. Containment is what allows emotion to settle instead of spilling everywhere. A contained person is not cold, they are stable, and stability is magnetic. People trust those who are not constantly unraveling in public, not because they lack empathy, but because chaos feels unsafe. You must also understand that not everyone has the capacity to hold your truth without dropping it. Some people leak. They don't mean harm, but they don't understand responsibility. What you share in confidence becomes a topic in another room, reshaped, exaggerated, misunderstood. And now you're managing damage you never intended to create. Silence prevents this chain reaction entirely. When you stop telling people everything, you also stop giving them influence over your decisions. Their opinions lose weight, their reactions lose urgency. You move based on alignment, not validation, and that is where personal authority begins. Authority is not loud. It doesn't announce itself, it doesn't argue, it simply moves and others adjust. The moment you argue for your choices, you invite debate. The moment you explain, you invite permission. But your life is not a group discussion. There is strength in choosing to process internally before externalizing. Journals exist for a reason. Solitude exists for a reason. Long walks, quiet nights, these are not signs of loneliness. They are signs of integration. People who rush to share often do so because they want relief, not resolution. Relief is temporary. Resolution is permanent. Silence favors resolution. You also protect others by not oversharing. When you speak emotionally, you can burden people who are not equipped to help you. You unintentionally make them responsible for your state. Silence paired with intentional support systems keeps relationships clean and balanced. The less you say, the more intentional your speech becomes. You stop reacting, you start responding, you stop narrating emotions, you start choosing actions, and slowly people begin to feel your presence before you speak. And once that happens, you no longer need to convince anyone of anything. Your energy does the talking. So understand this deeply. Your life does not need witnesses to be valid. Your growth does not need applause to be real. And your pain does not need an audience to be healed. The moment you stop explaining yourself to people who were never committed to understanding you, you reclaim your power. Silence is not absence, it is presence under control. It is discipline over impulse. It is wisdom choosing timing over emotion. When you guard your words, you guard your energy. When you protect your inner world, you protect your future. Speak when it builds. Stay silent when it preserves. Let your results speak where words once tried. And remember, those who know everything about you can influence you. Those who know less can only observe you. Master this, and you don't just become private, you become untouchable.